Hello, Mike. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Cygnify Lounge.
Good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So tell me, first of all, what brings you to GITEX? Because you've come quite far.
Yes, I'm based in the Netherlands. I'm here with the Dutch delegation, the Netherlands Embassy of the Singapore. Invited 8 Dutch startups to come here and represent the Netherlands. Some of them are based here, some of them are based in the Netherlands. And I've come over to join the delegation and also explore this local market to see if this is something for us.
Fantastic. And of course, your company that you founded is called Treety.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So we started Treety just over 4 years ago. My co-founder and I both have a background in software and data. I was more on the commercial side. My co-founder had founded a couple of other companies. And when we started spitballing ideas, it was just around COVID actually. So COVID had just hit, and COVID was exposing like a lot of existential problems in the world, right? I remember articles about people being able to see fish again in the water in Venice, and Indian towns seeing the Himalayas again for the first time. So we thought about like, what does the world need? We did an Ikigai exercise. I don't know if you're familiar. And we thought about what does the world need? And we thought, okay, we've got all these existential challenges: climate change, biodiversity loss, misinformation, pollution, you name it. So our question was, how can we apply the opportunity and scalability of data and software to these challenges? And the first thing we noticed when we started kind of researching this is that the companies that were actually doing something about it, everything ranging from electric car companies to sustainable coffee companies, they were, in their reporting of their impacts, they were doing a lot of beautiful storytelling, but there wasn't really a lot of data to back up those claims. And in an era of a lot of greenwashing and that kind of thing, we thought, hey, how can we help these companies to really back up their claims with measurability and data? So we really dove into that and built a solution for these companies. That wasn't exactly a viable financial model to try and sell this to impact-focused startups. But in 2021, we were approached by Google, and Google had a support program for impact-focused startups. And they basically came to us, can you do this for our whole portfolio of 150 of these companies? And that's where the real eureka moment was for us, because we thought, okay, if Google has this challenge of having to make sure all these companies apply best practices, measurability of impact, subsequently you have to collect all that data, aggregate that data, report that data to wherever that mandate comes from. We thought funds that invest in these kinds of startups probably also have these problems. And that's really what we started solving for. We discovered that Europe was being hit with the regulation as well in 2023, called the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation. And we thought, okay, the obviousness of these challenges and the growing trend of investing in sustainability and regulation hitting the market, that is like the perfect storm for a solution provider like us. And that's really where what we do today.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this is a passion and purpose-driven venture for you, because you've got a really interesting background.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship was always a dream of mine. But I've had a few careers behind me. Before I started Treety, I was in commercial roles with different startups and scale-ups. So everything from account executive to head of partnerships when I left my last job. Before that, I was in hospitality. That's really where my first kind of thoughts about sustainable practices came into being, because for a while I was actually looking to become a professional chef. I worked under a Michelin star chef at some point. And the first thing I noticed, or the first time I noticed, hey, that there's something wrong here, is the amount of waste that was being created in kitchens, right, in restaurants. So that's already was like a little seed that was planted around, I don't think there's food shortage in the world. I think we're just not effectively making use of the food that we have. If that's if that's an example, and knowing how much we throw away at home and things like that. So that's really where that kind of started. Obviously in the startup and scale-up scene, I had a lot of interaction with venture capital funds. You know, I was employee number one, so I was there to represent the commercial side of those businesses. So I kind of got a taste of venture capital, private equity. My co-founder worked for a pension fund at the beginning of his career. So, you know, we have some experience had some experience in those fields as well. Yeah, and it just kind of all came together building Treety.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge to the companies that you help via these VCs in truly being sustainable?
Yeah.
Aside from the data, so they've got the data there in front of them.
Yeah.
What's stopping them from being better?
Yeah. I think a large part of this kind of sustainable investment sector started, like, let's forget about the hype for a second, right? That's definitely kind of dying out now from a hype perspective, but that's how hype cycles go. I think there was a lot of good intention starting up a lot of these funds, but not a lot of know-how. So those companies that I was talking about before, they're usually based on very valid research, always very valid intentions, but the methodologies and the best practice of actually making impact measurable. In finance, we have existing standardized systems to measure financial performance, but with sustainability and impact, that's not very common practice, right? And therefore not very well known. And that's why we were not seeing that much measurability and data backing up these claims. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Is we thought, oh, regulation is coming, you have all these impact and sustainable funds, they're going to need a solution. What we realized along the way is they actually need a lot of education. And it's only after the education and going through these proper measurable reporting cycles and data collection cycles that they actually realize what the pains are in that process. So it actually took much longer for funds to initially adapt the actual solution and use it on their own.
Because the problems were a lot larger than they anticipated.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, for that Google project, they never even used our software. We built an entire academy for them to educate all these startups and themselves to actually apply these methodologies. And only then the solution becomes relevant, right? Because so what we also realized along the way is, okay, the funds that actually have a robust system in place and they're managing all of this in messy Excel sheet setups, or consultants build tools for them that are essentially built in Excel, right? As that often happens in that world. That's really where we can take over and automate, save a lot of time, make it more effective, make it more auditable. So auditors love a solution like ours because there's an actual proper audit trail behind all that data, yeah.
And so undoubtedly AI has changed the scope or nature of your business over the years.
Definitely in the last year. So yeah, the development in what's possible with AI is like, it's moving at a crazy pace. We're a fairly small team and very lean and agile. So I've been kind of following the AI developments over the past, let's say, 2 to 3 years. And last year definitely said to especially to our tech team, like, hey guys, are you staying up to date with these tools? Because this, that, and that. Fast forward a year, our entire tech team, our entire development team is completely AI enhanced. They code with AI assistance. We always obviously the developers always make the decisions on what code is correct. We edit it, we check it. But I mean, we're talking about 10x productivity here, like output. So the let's say version 3 of our platform, we built the first version took, let's say, 2.5, 3 years to build, up to version 2. This completely new version we built in 2.5 months, right? So that kind of effectivity progress. And on top of that, we've also, in this kind of new evolution of our products, we're definitely thinking agentic AI first. So how can trained AI agents basically offer the expertise and the workload of something that would cost immense amounts of resources, and basically just integrate that into the platform. Kind of a virtual junior with the expertise of a senior that's always on.
Yeah,
and
it's
always
been
there to
trained
help.
by you guys, and that will, of course, will allow you to scale. Is it right that Treety is looking to expand, of course, into other European countries, but also into Asia as well?
Yeah, so our main markets are in Europe right now, so Benelux, Nordics, UK. But we do already have clients in Singapore and Australia. I've always kept an eye on this region, knowing that there are, sustainability efforts and investments from government and for different reasons. I mean, just to name an example, in Asia, Indonesia is like very hard on like plastic pollution, right? As an example. And you need to invest in that. And so there's funds that are specifically set up for that. So the client that we have here, such an ag and food tech fund that invests with a positive impact on these topics. So I think it's very interesting. Singapore obviously being the kind of epicenter of finance in the region. It's definitely a market we're keeping an eye on.
Great. And so my last question to you then, when you are hiring in this space, what is the one or the top thing that you look for in the people you hire, given that you see that AI can augment the sales force already?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I definitely, from an AI perspective, definitely like, are you, what is your general kind of opinion on what AI is doing? Do you see the opportunities there? Yes or no? Because this is literally like a revolution, right?
So you want to onboard
this isn't just a new hype. This is the new internet in that sense. But what I actually look for more, because we're quite a remote company, even within the Netherlands, our team is very spread out. We see each other once a week physically. We have a large part of our team in India. So when I hire, I definitely look for kind of proactiveness and entrepreneurialism in a way. Like, are you kind of a self-motivated, highly ambitious individual that can motivate yourself getting up in the morning, as opposed to somebody having to tell you what to do and keep an eye on you and that kind of thing, which nothing against that, but for us that's super important because we're living a kind of a remote
and the remote culture that everybody has to live and breathe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
of course. And then, of course, lastly, you have had the opportunity to learn a little about Cygnify's talent acquisition platform here. How do you think that may support your hiring needs in the future?
Yeah, hiring is tiring.
I like
the last position that we posted, we had, I think, 250, 300 applications.
Within 1 hour or something.
Yeah, within like a couple of days. And as a founder, and not having, we don't have an HR person on the team, right? So as a founder, having to manage all that while you're trying to build a company, that's obviously highly ineffective. We found the right guy in this last round, but it was a hell of a process. So I definitely think that platforms like this can make that process much more effective, I imagine. I haven't experienced it firsthand.
Next
but
time you'll have to try that.
I know, I'm sure. Please give me a demo after the interview.
Will do. Well, thank you so much, Mike. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Have a great afternoon at GITEX.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks.